Well, hello, everybody. Today we have two guests with us, Mike Sipple, who is the CEO of Centennial Consulting, and Eddie Koen, who is the president and CEO of the Urban League of Greater Cincinnati and Southwestern Ohio, also serving Northern Kentucky. So welcome, gentlemen, and thanks for talking with me today.
Thank you for having us, Kris.
Thanks.
You know, so the world is a crazy place right now, and one of the things that has been talked about, especially over the past few months, is the issue of diversity in our region, our community. And one of the many groups that's working on things, you guys have formed a partnership to talk about how to improve diversity in business and at executive level. And would love to just have you, before we start talking about the project, maybe have you both just quickly introduce what your organization is about as well. So let's start with that, if you don't mind, Mike.
Okay, yeah. So Centennial is a long-standing, 45-year strong executive search firm in our region. And I'm a second-generation Mike Sipple, hence the junior that most people see in my name, and is a family business. And we represent organizations all over the world, but really do a lot of our community impact work and looking for ways to better Cincy USA, right? How can we make a big difference in this community? And so I look forward to sharing more about this program with your audience.
Great. And you live in Kenton County and your business is in Campbell. So you
That's right.
In Kentucky. And
born and raised in, I always say, a proud product of Covington. So
there you go.
Raised in Covington.
So Eddie, and it was great to meet you today on this, but tell us a little bit about the Urban League.
Sure. The Urban League has been around for over 70 years. It's one of the oldest civil rights and financial empowerment organizations in this region. We transform communities through personal and financial stability and empowerment. So we do everything from workforce development to helping entrepreneurs and really supporting community leadership. So we service Northern Kentucky, Greater Cincinnati, and the Dayton market.
Very good. So gentlemen, you got together here the past few months. And you've got this fantastic executive pathways program that you're developing. Go ahead and tell us about what that looks like and what the goal of the effort is.
Yeah, so a little bit about the history, Kris. So our firm, about 3 years ago, was looking at our own data and evaluating how diverse our talent pools were and how what diversity and inclusion and equity looked like inside of our placements. And we were doing some research and found data that we felt good about, but not good enough, right? And we wanted to do more. So we worked with a couple of our advisors, and one of our advisors, Dr. Janet Reed, strongly suggested we talk to the Urban League. So she set up a meeting with a longtime CEO of the Urban League, Donna Jones-Baker. We hit it off very well. I think they were excited to see a firm like ours really raising their hands saying, hey, we want to actually do better. We don't just want to talk about it. And that's what led us to being introduced to Eddie as he took over his new CEO role. The most recent CEO prior to Eddie, Shara Jackson, became a very good friend of ours as well. And as soon as Eddie accepted his job offer, he had no chance but to be introduced to Mike Sipple and our team, and have really accepted us with open arms, which we're very thankful for. So Eddie, do you want to share a little bit as well?
Yeah, I think the partnership is really timely. Mike was one of the first people who I met and got a chance to break bread with when I moved to Cincinnati. We have, again, always historically serviced Northern Kentucky, and we've been really hit with this demand from corporations and organizations saying, how do I do more? How do I move from statements to actions? How do I really go beyond diversity, but really create an inclusive workplace environment? So the timing was just right. We had started talking about this actually last fall. So with all the events that are happening, it was really just an accelerant to say, hey, let's go ahead and launch.
Fantastic. So, and obviously we could probably talk about this topic for literally a day, right? At least.
That's right.
But if you had a goal, if you thought about what's the number one goal and the timeline of this effort for you, what does it look like? Is it, you talk about not just talking about it, but action. Is it to take a certain percentage of an additional individuals of color who are leading organizations? Is it a pipeline, building of a pipeline? If there were one main outcome you would love to see of this partnership of executive pathways, what would it be?
You can take that first, Mike, and then I'll chime
Okay.
in.
Okay. So, Kris, we would like to be able to look back 3 years from now and identify organizations, their management teams, their senior leadership teams, and their executive teams that we've had the opportunity to serve and help more leaders of color land in those roles. You know, as we all sit in rooms, you know, we look around and we want those rooms to not have one, but 2, 3, or many, to ensure that our organizations are diverse and inclusive. And we need to take action in that. So in those numbers, to be able to look back 3 years from now and say, wow, look how many more diverse leaders are in leadership roles. Look how these teams are starting to become more inclusive. But also help organizations who say, well, we want to have more diversity in our organizations, but we don't know how to. Or as I was talking to a company last week about this program, we can attract diverse talent, but we can't retain diverse talent. And those are conversations that are all too common. And through this partnership, we can go and sit with those organizations, do some evaluation, and actually help them understand why they may be able to recruit diversity, but they don't have an organization that acts inclusive. And then, you know, there is a survey that we've been sharing. You know, the Boston Consulting Group did a survey specifically measuring diversity and the driver of innovation and profitability. And when you have more diverse teams, you are 19% more likely to create more profit and be more innovative in your industry. And right now, about 90% of leadership teams around our region are not diverse. So there's a real opportunity gap and a real ROI to take action on this topic.
That's great.
Yeah, Kris, I would say it's individualized, because we do have some companies that are doing great, that are really exemplars of the best practices right now, but really saying, where am I, and where do we want to grow, right? Whether that's increasing the pipeline, whether that's changing practices to create a more inclusive workspace where everyone feel like they belong. So really being able to take an individual approach to say, here's where we are as a company benchmark, and where do we want to go in the next 3 years, and how can we partner with organizations like the Urban League, like Centennial, to increase that pipeline, or at least to think about inclusive practices, to be able to create a workplace where we feel like everyone can thrive.
And it makes a lot of sense. So you're saying essentially this idea of pathways, it's a 3-year window of at least gives us a runway that you can actually get something accomplished meaningfully, that you're going to be able to give methods by which those organizations who've not been as successful as they otherwise might have been, hey, here are the extra steps that we see as best practices maybe, and then as well as, I guess, connections to organizations or people who might help both recruit and retain their leadership teams and or just their team levels, period, that they would actually be able to be more diverse in that fashion. Is that a fair recap of that?
Yeah, I think so. I think, and there's other initiatives that are going on too by the regional chamber. They have the Workforce Innovation Center that have some great practices that employers can adapt. This is mainly to say when rubber meets the road, and you're saying, all right, I've prepared my organization, we're ready. Now I want to really have a diverse pool. This is the go-to place to really find that diverse pool. And it's not just us. We also have 90 affiliates across the country that are connected to, that are outside the region. So this is really a regional goal to make this this particular special place more attractive to folks who don't live here.
It really is good business. I'm sorry, good.
Yep. Yeah. It's really good business when we think about the type of labor, talent, and market that we want to have in this region, and to build up to have a pipeline for people who are already here. So we have a couple of great things and great pathways that are already at the Urban League. We have an Urban Leadership Institute program that's been around for 27 years, classes from 25 to 30 of talented sort of mid-level execs. Now, a lot of them are execs as well.
Mhm.
And we have two auxiliary groups, our young professionals and our guild, which is 41 and up, that have also thoroughly embraced this program. And then our board of directors, our current board and our past board, where people informally always ask what's out there. So this was really a chance to crystallize that work with an incredible partner in Mike. We don't have the expertise to be a staffing or executive firm. So we said, let's partner with the best. We do have the expertise to have the relationships, and we know that the people who are capable and willing and ready are out there. It's just a matter of combining our relationships to have the talent pool that we need.
Great. So it's interesting you refer to the chamber's efforts and many other organizations that are really trying to work on this effort overall. And one of the things that you kind of alluded to, Mike, as you kind of looked at the Cincinnati, greater Cincinnati market to say, where are we today? I guess on one hand, the good news is that it's not a horrific situation. We've got, in terms of balancing and comparing to our peer cities across the country, we're not doing too badly. But in terms of our opportunity for doing better, it's there. And we can really, it's a manageable situation to be able to do even better, to set the standard for the rest of the country. Say, hey, this is the place that we want individuals who are of color. Hey, we want you to come here, stay here, grow your business, and help lead organizations to some great success here in Greater Cincinnati. I think that's a message that we would all agree with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that, again, hiring diverse talent, we can all of us want to do better, can do better. I think the other big thing for us is hiring is just the first step, right? Yeah. And those inclusive practices, learning from all of the organizations that Eddie mentioned, that you shared, that are in our community, that are helping people educate how to be, what does being more inclusive look like, and how do you be supportive of all talent in your organizations. And our region is doing well and has efforts to do excellent, right? There's a lot of partners coming together on this, and we're just one of them. I know that Eddie, Ashley Young, their VP of Impact, myself, Duran Alexander on my team, what we talk about is just to be a starter, right? That people would look at our partnership and say, wow, we can create a partnership. We can do something, right? Let's just call people into action to take the first step, to take the second step, to continue to evolve and grow, and then to hold our communities accountable to really make an impact and make sure that all people feel welcome, and we're also being very intentional about our efforts.
That's a great point. Eddie, I guess we'll wrap up with maybe your comment. What do you think? And you've obviously, what a year to start a new position, right?
That's right.
This efforts, you've connected with some good people, with Mike, et cetera. Are there any other takeaways you'd like to share with anybody watching this about both this effort or any other efforts as you see your organization working on, and as we go through the end of 2020 and into 2021?
Yeah, we've really been asking people to do three things in this current context in which we live. As one is to educate, to invest and influence, right? And that's part of what this partnership is about, is someone like Mike and his organization saying, we're going to use our influence to really speed and expedite up the relationship capital that the Urban League has, because we know the talent is here and in our networks. That's something that seems pretty simple, but is powerful. That can be an incredible accelerant to social change. And we all have a sphere of influence, whether it's in our individual teams, whether we're CEOs or not, to really think about the type of Cincinnati in the region that we want to live in, one that is attractive for all, for people to belong. I am a transplant, and I'm the biggest Cincinnati cheerleader for Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati. I moved here during Arts Wave, which was
wow.
So it was a good time to move here. My wife was like, "This is incredible." So
with Blink, is that what you're saying?
Blink, yeah, Arts Wave, the Blink Festival, which I didn't know what was going on. It was just craziness.
He did it just for you.
all over downtown. And so we were thinking, Mike, wow, is this how festivals are thrown in Cincinnati? This is crazy, right? Yeah. So really telling, there's a lot of things that we have to fix that are broken in the region, like any other place, but there's a lot of bright spots here too. You know, this is one of the top destinations for Black entrepreneurs is right here in Cincinnati, the metro area. And we know that we have the corporate leadership that really wants to lift up this region. And this is just one partnership. And so if people are interested to learn more, they can reach out to Mike Sipple's team or myself. And we're just thrilled to see what this will look like three to 5 years from now.
Great. Well, gentlemen, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. We'll check back with you here in coming months, and maybe you can do a little more education also about what these pathways look like. So thanks so much, and wish you the best of luck with this program.
Great. Thank you, Kris.
Thanks, Kris.